Hey everyone, it's Linken here, the project lead for Star Wars Galactic Legacy, coming to you for another developer commentary. I'll be doing this one by myself today, as it'll be a very quick one about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. So without further ado, let's get started. So the tragedy of Darth Plagueis cutscene was kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision that I had one day while I was at work. I had a feeling people might want to see this brought into Jedi Academy. I feel that Tragedy of Darth Plagueis is probably the most referenced and memed scene from Revenge of the Sith I could think of, and obviously there are a lot of people that are huge fans of it. So I wanted to do the fans justice, and as a sign of thanks for everyone's support for sticking with us over this time, I decided to create this. As for the map itself, I honestly wasn't really expecting to make it, in a way. I reached out to our mapper, Lokiel, and I told him, hey, I understand if you don't want to make this. I'm not going to hold it against you. But if you would be willing to make the Opera House from Revenge of the Sith, then I would be incredibly grateful, because I'm thinking about doing this cutscene. And he said, sure. And he put it together very quickly. I would say probably about, say around a week or so. So, after the initial map was made, I got started on the cutscene. Now, he did throw in a few other improvements here and there. The most notable, which you don't quite see in the preview image there, but adding in a 2D, excuse me, a 2D audience to make the Opera House look more occupied than it actually was. Fun fact, I actually tried filling in the background with a bunch of NPCs, but that really just, it didn't work. So, I would say development of this took about a month or so. Reason it took that long was because I was facing some real drama in my personal life at the time, so I really had to focus on that a lot more, and it was just really distracting. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out, although I'm not particularly a fan of the fact that a lot of the characters turn their heads like right as their audio is playing. So I'll be looking into getting that fixed for the either for the next update or the one after that. So without further ado, let us get started. So the initial cutscene right here was probably the most difficult because Anakin wouldn't stop stepping on Palpatine's leg. It took probably the longest amount of time to figure that out. You might notice in the background there are several characters that probably don't belong. I knew I wanted to fill in the audience members there with other NPCs. I didn't quite care who was there because the further back you got, you couldn't quite tell who it was. So the boxes directly next to Palpatine and Anakin, I did try to fill in with canon characters, but you could see with a prior couple of shots that there were definitely some characters. Like on the left there, you can see Snoke, and then on the right, you can see some ancient Sith lords, including Plagueis himself.
Anakin, you know I'm not able to rely on
So, having to make this cutscene, definitely had to rewatch the entire scene like over and over and over again, to the point where I probably got sick of it. I mean, it was definitely worth it though. Thankfully, you know, I've grown very experienced at making cutscenes at this point, so you know, so I actually spent less time watching the cutscene than I did actually making it. Because like I knew like where the camera was going to end up. I more or less knew what the character was going to do. There were a few errors here and there, but they were fairly quickly ironed out. Let's see.
I have to admit,
This The development of this cutscene also saw to
Why?
the process of improving the Anakin model that we had. I think initially, prior to us changing out, after we changed out the hair, I know there was like an issue with the model where the hair was kind of floating up off of his head. So one of our modelers was in charge of working on that. There was actually a bit of an issue going on at the time because whenever our modeler fixed the hair, then whenever Anakin was holding a lightsaber, he was actually holding it upside down. And then when he was holding it upside down, then his head was also not turning in the correct direction. But eventually we got everything sorted out. I would say the last thing that was added in for this cutscene was probably the audience in the background, which you probably saw in the long shot earlier when Anakin was sitting down. But you can see like some NPCs in the background over there. So like in just that last shot was also Siri Tachi and I think Corin Horn, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of different NPCs going on with this, and there's the flat audience right there in the background.
A story the Jedi would tell you.
This was really a difficult cutscene to get the music syncing up with because this track was never officially released, and you can also see more NPCs in the background. So the box on the left right there, you have Revan and Bastila going on a date. Then Leia by herself on the next one over, and I think Talia, Atris, and I think Nomi's Sunrider for the one after that. And then over there you can see, I think, Jaina and Jason Solo, and Siritachi and Corin Horn, of course. So a lot of interesting little cameos in there, just to fill in the background.
He became so powerful. The only thing he was afraid of was losing his power. Which
I think this cutscene was also the first time that
he taught his apprentice.
I started using tasks for the audio instead of having to like time everything out specifically. But it kind of detracted from the quality because there was like constantly like audio popping. So I think later on I went back and fixed it. Not 100% certain if I release it to the public, but I will be re-releasing eventually just to fix the save game crashes. So yeah, and that's the end of the cutscene. So relatively interesting time, but hey everyone, I just wanted to let you all know that the sound that you just heard was an assertion failure on my end, followed by my game crashing. When I recorded the commentary, I was using the debug build as I was programming some fixes to the Force Lightning color customization, which you'll get to see in the next update. And for whatever reason, in debug mode, the game hates playing the end credits. So that's just what happened. But in any event, I hope all of you enjoyed this developer commentary on the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. And again, I cannot say this enough. Thank you all for your support over the last year.